All right, one thing I did not do at the start of last game, guys, was have their Twitches ready to copy paste because we got into that first game pretty quick. However, I would also like to give a big nod to Master Trax, our first sub of the day, sub during that last game. Thank you very much, sir. I hope you enjoyed that match. But folks, welcome back to the Battle of the Ladder Heroes Showmatch. Just an event to try and publicize what's going on, let people know, hey, there's this really cool ladder competition going down, and hopefully every single month we can repeat these actions. This is the first month, it's the test month. There's a €500 prize pool for it. It's pretty cool overall. We'll talk more about the details in a moment, but if you want to watch this guy stream, he's live right now. You can find him on twitch.tv/rootcatz. In the top right corner, it's the orange Zerg Root Jesus.
The bottom left as the red Terran, it's uThermal.
Sorry for the no camera spins because I'm copy pasting his Twitch. A little unconventional. I guess Sir Cavalon or Senior Cavalon, or I don't know what that actually stands for, but that is his Twitch. He's been really on and off with streaming. I haven't seen uThermal do a lot of streaming, but I know we've hosted him a couple times in the last few months that he has streamed. A lot of these guys, by the way, I'm not sure what their streams are going to look like today as far as commentary goes. I know some folks actually, they've got their second accounts for this, that, and the other for streaming versus tournament play. But because they are grinding the ladder and trying to get that rank up, I imagine that you're just going to see a lot of very intense ladder from these guys. I know Harsum again plans to stream. Catz is already streaming. I'm not sure who else plans to jump on that stream train for today. But I want to, again, address the whole point system, because I guess some points were still up for explanation, and that game picked up pretty quickly. By finishing first place each week on that ladder, Bunny, for example, finished first place week 1. They get 5% of the overall prize pool. It doesn't get paid out right now, it gets paid out at the end of the tournament, but 5% of that €500 goes towards whoever gets GM #1 slot every single week. Now that doesn't mean, again, #1 on the ladder. Maybe Showtime, who's not participating, grinds out and gets #1 on the ladder. But Bunny finishes #2, Bunny would still be #1 on our tournament list. It's not that confusing, but it does sound confusing to those who don't normally watch the ladder. Perhaps you don't normally stock accounts and try and track your favorite players, but we will be keeping track and posting every single week. The results, the rankings, etc.
Well, I kind of expected a 2-Rax on this map just because it is a best of 7 and you're already up 1-0. But I guess it probably would have been scouted. Not that Catz went for a drone scout or anything, but maybe also like an 8-Rax. Yeah, something like that. If there's any type of cheese that open up pretty aggressive, but actually complete opposite, super, super greedy.
Yeah, it's I guess you would expect. I mean, I think we've seen more 2-Raxes specifically, but more cheese on Overgrowth than any other map, but gone the complete other direction in a fast third CC on the way.
Yeah, the 4 factory. The gases weren't even down, so it's gonna be quite a while before he has Hellions out, but luckily Catz isn't going for like a bailing bust yet. He hasn't scouted that 3CCs are down or a lack of a factory. You just kind of start assuming things after you scout that it's not a Reaper opener. If anything, that might have told him to go ahead and try and bailing bust. Lack of a Reaper, because then it wouldn't be scouted hopefully, but third base goes down.
Well, we got another resub coming in. Big shout out to Maximus Black. Man, this guy is so awesome. Thanks for resubbing to the channel, dude. For those, by the way, who are curious, this is a best of 7. The score is always going to be displayed down here, just in case we got any newcomers. I know StarCraft was actually really cool and tweeted about the event from the StarCraft Twitter. That's awesome. So if any of you guys are just filtering in, you haven't missed much. It's still just starting.
Well, it looks like Catz maybe facing greed with greed. You got a later speed, a fairly fast third hatchery. Oh, it's going to be mech from uThermal, by the way. Well, that's interesting.
Ooh. Now, this is where I want to see Catz shine, to be honest with you. First off, as many Zerg players classically will, he may just start off with this blind build going towards Banelings and Mutalisks because, well, let's be honest, that's what you tend to see more often than not. But if that Overlord comes in and he sees these extra factories coming down, this is going to be a whole nother can of worms. Now this, I want to stress though, this doesn't guarantee mech yet. This could just be some sort of really ridiculous blue flame later timing. More likely than not, though, it's probably going to be a mech build.
It could still be Hellbat timing. Typically we think of Hellbat timing, we think of 2-base. Hellbat Banshee, Hellbat with Medivacs, which is really fun and favorite, Hellbat with Marines, all before the 3rd CC is put down. But the thing about Zerg is that their whole game plan is usually around knowing what your opponent is doing. Oh, it's just a tank, but it's still blue flame though, and you're still gonna have like 6 to 8 Hellbats that are gonna come out at a very odd time, you know. Like Catz is already playing pretty greedy by getting a Baneling nest at the the earlier mark, figuring out it's gonna be a macro game. But will he have roaches at like 9 minutes when the Hellbat timing hits?
Yeah, that blue flame too is just, it's incredible how much of a difference it makes killing lings, much less drones. I mean, drones pretty much get fried alive no matter what, but killing 50 to 80 lings is not an easy task, and if that blue flame can make you do it a little bit quicker, so much more power to you. Now, there are more Hellions on the way, and that tank, I guess, was defensive expecting roaches, but even without, I mean, still, these blue flame Hellions, there's no full wall off for Catz just yet. He's seen a couple Hellions. He's starting to put down the typical wall off, but I mean, 2 Evo Chambers is not going to stop all these Hellions.
Yeah, looks like you called the transition into bio. So I mean, Hellbat build, or sorry, Blue Flame Hellions, and it's looking like it's not going to be Hellbats. So Blue Flame Hellion, just as a build in general, is just really not popular. The addition of Hellbats sometimes comes around, but just Hellions, very odd, very unexpected, and Catz is definitely not ready for it.
You know what's kind of cool though? It's almost like a bit of a mind game. Blue Flame's gonna be revealed here in about 1 second, which is, oh, gonna fry these things alive.
God.
That bonus damage versus light just kicks in so hard here in the early game. He does steal a good chunk of the Hellions with it, but all of his lings go down, and I don't mean most, all of his lings go down. 3rd CC gets taken from uThermal, but the transition to bio I like. Now, the reason I thought this was going to happen, I think, is largely in part to the fact that we saw a lot of Hellbats used last game, and this Blue Flame is going to benefit the Hellbats in this game as well. So if it's the same composition out of uThermal, it's just better this time around.
That's certainly true. I remember when Hellbat styles were still very popular, we would always try calling, like, Blue Flame. Like, you know, wouldn't it be awesome to start off with Blue Flame and then go into the Hellbat build? And then, you know, they wouldn't, first of all, and then by the time it really started to happen, Hellbat style was just falling out of favor. Like, people were countering them.
It's almost a year ago now, but I think my favorite thing was we cast, this was back when we were casting on the WCS America channel, not Base Rate TV. We got to watch Ryung for like an entire tournament, not like a couple of games, but like every single game Ryung played in that qualifier, it was Blue Flame and Blue Flame and more Blue Flame. Haven't seen a lot of it since then, but the Ling's trying to get the surround. Hellions find that really sweet spot behind the mineral line. A lot of these Hellions getting low, but not quite dead just yet. However, the Queens look like they should. Yeah, the Queen should clean this up. Same with the Mutas popping just now as well.
I would say that's too bad because the army did just finish. He had waited. He could have turned them to Hellbats, but the Mutas were all on the way. Still, with 10, 12 Hellbats,
oh wow, he
probably would be able to like right-click on that hatchery.
Yeah, but also I'm surprised he only got 1 worker kill through that. I just assumed more would have died through splash damage, but not the case.
Catz did a very good job not just giving away his lings necessarily. Like, the one time we didn't know it was Blue Flame, that was.
Oh no! What's he doing? What's he doing? He's a Marine, sir. Sir, there's a Marines and a missile turret. He
might think that it's mech, you know, and that if he can deal enough damage to the Marines that he has now, then I'm just gonna be able to freely go into the main. But he doesn't know that more Marines are coming out anyways, so that would have been like, I don't know. He's going into roaches, so I still think it's mech.
I mean, we've seen roaches play versus bio. We've seen roach bailing kind of work in the mid game, but it falls off.
Sorry, have you ever seen Baneling Muta in a Roach? You've seen Roach in a Baneling Muta.
Yeah.
Sure, that's a thing. But the, vice versa? Nah, that's usually a reaction to, realizing, oh, it's mech. Oh, okay.
Well, Catz double expands while this goes on. So, I mean, the really nice thing, and a macro hatchery even, wow. He's going to have so much production. Like, let's say he makes a lot of roaches, and roaches aren't what he wants. Well, right now, roaches are what he wants. There's a lot of Hellions coming in, but I think he'll have the production to make up any sort of boo-boo or oopsie with his composition, and the money is certainly going to be there. I mean, when you start playing on this many bases.
That's really good.
I am baby their cast, and so am I.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm really glad they did that when they had the influx of all these new viewers. It actually makes a lot of sense because it helps people understand a lot better what's going on. I was actually really stoked to see I am actually use the host feature for once. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. That was pretty good.
It wasn't like the most effective host of all time or whatever, but still, it's just cool to finally see other people start doing it. I mean, we've been pushing hosting so much on Base Trade TV that it just it's nice to see someone else finally hopping on that train.
Mm-hmm. We really have quite the, I don't know, grab bag of units for Catz here. Like Baneling, Muta into Roach, into an Infestation Pits.
Yeah. It's called the kitchen sink build.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So
Hey,
I'm looking at his
wait.
vision.
The kitchen sink build.
Oh my god, it's overgrowth. Okay, so I'm looking at Katz's vision, right? And he's still like, has he seen the amount of Marines that he had? It seems like he's just been constantly afraid of the Hellions, but well, it doesn't matter what he's seen or what he thinks it is, because now this attack's on the way.
He's got 21 something banelings right now. He's got another about 4 or 5 in production. Truthfully, I think he should be okay-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... Don't take a bad engagement is what it comes down to, right? Roach is on the front line, going to help out quite a bit against the Marauders and the Hellbats, but those banelings get picked off before they even get into the fight. The Marines are so far away. The banelings are gone. Catz has to fall back.
It's a very beefy army, all right? uThermal has like a really, like, you know, a lot of Hellbats, a lot of Marauders, a couple of tanks.
Dude, he's got the kitchen sink built too, but the Terran side.
Yeah, exactly.
Soup versus soup hype! A lot of the Marines have gone down, but the Mutalisk count's not high enough to take out what's left. And more banelings rolling into the front line. There's Marauders waiting. There's Hellbats soaking those hits. Oh, if the Marauders weren't here, he's done such a great job focus firing with those Marauders, having them on the front lines, be the buffer for those Marines. But more Roaches on the way. Catz is not making these out of desperation. He knows that they're going to be pretty good against what's left.
Well, that looks a little... It looks scary for Catz, but he pushes back. He's still on a lot of bases. In fact, a macro hatchery in the middle of his creep. I don't know, like middle of his bases, I guess. He's got the upgrades finally going again. Of course, he had to like transition from melee to the missile, and now he's just sticking purely on missile. Like, that's actually kind of interesting. I guess he's going to continue using roaches, but the problem is, you know, he did things in the wrong order that we're used to seeing. You know, banelings into roaches, opposed to like, you know, roaches in a baneling and then into mutas, but he still has that composition that can be effective once or twice, but it does fall off towards the later stages of the game.
Well, more banelings have been added into the composition. This is a really weird situation, though, because everything uThermal has would normally work out really well against, say, roaches. Just straight-up roaches. But the banelings really have that little element X value to them. If they can connect, they can kill the Marines, and if it's just Marauders, the Mutalists and the Roaches might be able to overwhelm, as there's so many of them. But Catz throwing the banelings into the Marauders, I mean, obviously you want to throw them into the Marines if you can, but I guess the reality of the situation is with this many roaches, the Marine hit-and-run tactics aren't really that effective.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
Did he lose all the mutas? I did.
Maybe. He's trying to replace it with a couple of Corruptors, and more Lings are coming out as well, but, you know, uThermal, he took a very good punch right there. His Planetary is going to try and get up to help hold, and he still has a very big unit count, but there's basically no splash in here.
More banelings morphing onto the backside. Roaches are just choking out a lot of the banelings, though, so they don't really get to connect to anything. What little few slip through get focused out immediately, but again, Catz might just have a little too much. Zergling's coming from the backside, catches uThermal a little bit off guard. Zerglings versus these Marauders is going to be a nice addition to have, but the banelings just can't connect. They're so close to getting those sweet, juicy Marines, and as this Planetary comes close to finishing, Catz is going to have to back out of here. Planetary Fortress does a ton of damage.
That was very, very close. uThermal did lose a couple of SCVs right there. In fact, 12 has gone down, so he's replacing those. I mean, he's building up his fourth, you could say. 4 more SCVs at a time. He's going to be up to a perfect SCV count in just a second here.
Oh, wow.
Ultralisk are on the way. Again, interesting, as he did not focus on those melee weapons as much.
Right, he snuck up the Hive Tech, and that's a point to be saved for another moment. I just want to point out, he's on like 90 drones. This is something that more complements a pure baneling style than I think the roach style, so I'm wondering if that's going to force him to just transition out of this entirely. I mean, he did just make a hell of a lot of banelings. They're crashing through the army, but is this going to be enough to completely push him back? Because what is the 6 roaches on the ground? I don't think that's going to deal with these Marauders anymore.
We'll see. Those Corruptors, if they had been in that fight that barely didn't work out, would have been so helpful. That medevac count would be much, much lower. In fact, they're going down now.
Corruptor hype. Lings coming out are a little bit useless, sad to say. They're good cannon fodder, but they've got very little as far as damage goes thanks to these upgrades. Drone's being pulled into this mess. Catz getting a little bit desperate to hold on to this base. He's still got 4 other bases behind this if this hatchery falls, but Roach is coming out now. 20-something war in the Remax, but filtering in 1 or 2 at a time is really hurting. These medevacs finally starting to go down thanks to those Corruptors, but it's taken a long time.
Yeah. Now, what's unfortunate is that uThermal, if he had 3-3 on the way, I'd be like, wow, he's probably winning this game. But 3-3 never started. He doesn't have any more tank production, so like this mass bio style, it might still work out, sure, but it'd be much more powerful if he was getting those upgrades.
Nice pickup out of uThermal. But I agree, I didn't even think about that. I just assumed, you know, there's a lot of assumptions you make about the game, and 3-3 now begins, but Catz also heading towards Broodlords. Quay? I thought it was going to be Ultras for sure.
I guess, I mean, thinking on it, Ultras probably wouldn't do that well. There's already a lot of Marauders out because you already went into Roaches. You kind of forced a reaction to Ultras by playing out the game like you did. And again, those melee weapons weren't really up there, and he really doesn't have a lot of money to invest in those upgrades. Like, Ultras, they would be okay with 2, like 1, 2, but they definitely want like 3, 3 plus the armor they get. You just didn't have enough to afford that.
Can we get a small shout out, by the way, to this hatchery who has lived through 3 very brutal attacks at this point?
Yeah. Sure.
Drop in the top left comes a couple of drones. Nothing too bad just yet, but this is going to distract Catz, and as the army's drawn up here in the top left, the real attack is coming to finish off this base on the right side. Oh god, I don't think it can live another one.
Nah, it's going to be like 2 Marauders to focus that down.
Well, the area effect damage from the Banelings was kind of nice, but he really needed it for the follow-up, not the initial attack. The Roaches are gone. Broodlords are so far out. And, Catz loses not 1, but possibly 2 bases here. Couldn't really defend on the top right. Had to pull back and defend this army here pushing on the south. Now this army's going to probably win out as well, and this is looking worse and worse for our root player.
Yeah, despite having a fairly good economy with a very high drone count, a lot of bases, he just constantly took like worse and worse trades, and the resources lost heavily in favor of uThermal, and even without the upgrades, that won him the game.
Well, guys.